we thought like, how do we save it? How do we show it? Because this is the part that we want everyone to know and see. And so how do we open up a space that feels like we can have an unfiltered, raw conversation, getting to know the amazing people that come in through here in a deeper way, in an organic way, however it flows. And so the idea is for us to be in conversation, for us to just connect naturally, and then for everyone else to like bear witness, but like hopefully feel in it too, you know, and maybe this will be the thing that helps them cross the threshold to your studio and know a little bit more about you. And so thank you. I'm glad
just what you said too is just a wonderful segue in, because that is what the work is about too. It's about just opening up room for conversation.
Do you find conversation comes easy when people come into your studio?
No, which is why it's self-portraiture, right? It's a break, it's a fraction, it's a safe space. It's a temporary space that I'm holding until you're ready to place yourself in that position. And then it's like, oh, you see, it's not really me, it's us, it's we, it's you too. And then it's like, but I have to kind of sweeten the deal in, right? It's just me and my erotic self. But once you're here and the conversation has started, and once we're able to, I guess, open up and be a little bit more vulnerable, then it's like, oh, actually, you see, it wasn't just me there. It's also you.
When did you realize that you could be that comforting, like welcoming space to help people enter into the work?
I think it just came with, I was comfortable with myself. And at first I didn't really care if other people felt safe. It's because my safety, if I'm not safe, then no one else is safe. You know what I mean? I have to be safe within. And then once I became kind of safe with my own type of vulnerability, exposure, tenderness, kindness, shadow, radicalness, then other people kind of revealed their shadow. And then it's like, well, yeah, I have the capacity to hold space for you now, because I'm holding space for me, and this isn't so bad. Now I have all this room. So, yeah.
So that actually, I want to take it back just a little bit before we get deeper into what you're working on now. Because the way that you're framing it kind of just puts me in mind of how you approach art, period, right? And I know that you are at first and at heart like a writer, right? And so
that makes me so happy. I love writing so much.
And so it shows, right? It shows in how you think about the work, and how your work is not just the visual, but there's all these elements that kind of come around it, and you're interested in welcoming in like the discussion, right? Like the thought first, right? So go ahead.
Or maybe even like the pretty pictures first, right? So these are safer than the writings too. Even though these are dealing with a type of exposure, and these are dealing with a type of rawness, these are still kind of safer than that pure, unfiltered, maybe a little bit filtered because of like shifting vocabulary, making sure you have the right word that fits the right feeling. But yeah, so it's like, isn't this nice? Oh yeah, this is beautiful, technically done really well. I like color. Oh, okay.
It's like bringing them in.
Exactly. It's like just, you know, laying the little treats on the street and just saying, come on to my house. And then it's like, now we can talk about the shadow or the monster, or the thing that you think is the monster, the thing that you are afraid of, the thing that's centered around shame and guilt and fear and I don't know. And yeah. Did they answer?
Well, kind of. Yeah. Well, yes, but you're also taking me even further, because now I want to know, like, what was your path into art? Because I'm asking that because I'm curious. Your work is very introspective, and also it pulls from a lot of personal concepts, but also you looking at the world at large, right, and relationship at large.
Well, I guess I always kind of had like an academic attachment to art. So I'm native to Charlotte. I went to Northwest School of the Art from 11 years old you graduate, and then, you know, you go off to your BFA, you go off to your MFA. So for 13 years or so, there's a time space of heavily being schooled in the realm of art and how we approach it. And it's always been an attachment of conceptualism. That's just what was attractive. That's just what was art, quote unquote, was beyond just the painting. So adding in that personal element, well, I think it's just the human experience.
So the academic route.
Yeah.
But before that, you always knew you were...
I like to say that my mom was afraid to send me to public school. I've always been a little bit of a eccentric kid. And I think that she had a reality check when it was time for me to go to middle school. She was like, I don't think I could send my baby to like a normal public school.
What do you think that was? What do you mean?
I don't know. Maybe it was divine intervention because it was worked out in my favor. But I've said this so many times, but I really do think it was because I don't think she paid attention to my artistic ability until it was time to go to middle school. And I don't think that, and it's no fault of her own or anything like that. It was just like, there's other things to think about and do and worry about. And my child is a normal, quote unquote, normal child. And then middle school, it's time to go. And it's like, something spoke, something whispered in her ear that maybe this entity needs to be in a particular environment. And so I remember, on computer paper, because to get into Northwest School of the Arts, you have to audition, and so that means you have to have a type of portfolio. And she was just like, just draw, girl. And I'm like, okay, I'm just drawing. So I sent like this 3-ring binder with, you know, the plastic slips and all these drawings. And the art teachers are walking around to every student. They're like, they go to mine. They're like, oh, I like your composition. I'm like, don't know what that word is. And I'm like, well, I did something right because I'm a good student, right? I don't know. Let me in, right? This school seems fun. And yeah, so I think that was the start of like identifying as an artist, is because, well, I went to art school with a major in art from a young age. And so that my major has been art since I was 11 years old.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the...
Which means at, you know, maybe it's chicken and egg, but like at 11 though, when you're starting to think about how you navigate in the world, when you become, I feel like middle school is when you really become aware of yourself, you know, in relation to other people. At that age, you're in a space that is cultivating a creative way of thinking and seeing the world. That sounds like it's kind of continued to travel with you.
And middle school is also like this. So from elementary, I've only been to 2 schools from my like early years. I'm so grateful for that because you really get to learn a place. So from elementary school, it's like everyone knows you, you know, from pre-K to 5th grade. And then you're on this new journey and you're meeting all these other people who also major in art, who also got into the same program you did. And you're like, oh, so what did you do to get in? And it's like, oh, well, I did this clay and I made these cups and I did. And I'm like, so it immediately breaks the mold of what you think art is before you even step into a classroom, because now you're interacting with peers who also identify as an artist. So it's amazing, jarring, crazy, something I have to take off sometimes, but to be able to have identified as an artist since 11 years old, because how else do you introduce yourself when you're engaging with other people who wants to know, oh, so what did you do? Where did you get? Oh, well, I'm a visual artist. My major is, you know.
And it's even more exciting to me to hear that be a path for someone young, because when you're young, you're always asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? But you're already, I am this thing.
That was so hard after graduating from my MFA, because it was like, I've already reached a lot of my dream. Like, you know, people, and I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, what do you do when you're, like, where is the ambition coming from when you've already, like, living your dream at, like, 22 years old? And you're like, I'm an artist in New York. And it's like, oh, there's more to discover here. There's more to, in who am I when I strip that away too? Like, who am I if I allow myself to be nothing? Who am I if I become like this unknown thing? To even, like, first to myself and then you label yourself as like, I'm Komikka the Unknown. I went with that for a little bit, but that's still a label. But trying to be labelless. But yeah, I think it was a beautiful blessing for as long as it was, and then it became a curse, and then it became a blessing again when you're like, okay, I can see this from a new perspective. And even now, we're transitioning back into a little bit of like, okay, I think it's time to put this down again, because there's more to discover versus just like staying within a confined space.
Well, but I think just continuing that thought, I think that stripping away of the label allows you to think about, or the job, right?
Yeah.
Removing it from being that consideration, and it goes into this concept of living in your purpose, right? And the title or label of artist isn't necessarily the job that defines who you are. It's more of how you walk through the world.
That's just the vessel. It's just the vehicle. And sometimes you have to put the vehicle, you have to drive something else to be like, oh, I can drive a stick shift too if I wanted to. Like I can do, I could ride a bike. And there's so much more to see when I ride a bike. Kind of like, I feel like writing for me is like riding a bike. While art is definitely a car. And I'm like, I like this bike thing. My legs are getting really strong. I've seen so much. I'm able to appreciate things in a way that maybe a car, I said, oh, that's cool, that's nice, that's beautiful. But on a bike, I have longer to sit with it. I can describe it more accurately. I just have to slow down, and I can go over a thing so many times. Like with the drawing, with the painting, with collage, you can paint over paint, you can collage over collage, you can photograph over a photograph. But I think with writing, it gave me a space of, this is so not concrete. Sometimes I wake up just to change a word. And me changing that word is like ecstasy. It's like, yes, like that's exactly what I meant to say. And then that word shift calls for another word to shift. And I'm like, yes, like you get me, and then that word shift calls for somewhere down here to shift. And it's like, whoa, now I'm in this like ongoing cycle of like, yes, this is amazing. So yeah.
I mean, speaking of modes of transportation, that was like the perfect segue, because I was going to ask you about your writing. When did it enter in, and what part does it kind of play in your process from interrogating a concept and an idea that then turns into a piece that you start to physically create?
I still think writing is relatively new.
Really?
I think the type of writing that I'm doing now feels new. I think that we all kind of start with these journal entries, and that's kind of how I would title my pieces, life lessons that I would then write about, then I would then title the work that I was working on as I was going through, would kind of hold the weight of that. But writing like I'm writing now, this is like maybe 2 years. And it started like, so now I feel like I'm doing a little bit more of like an academic writing. While before, and I'm still writing like a fictional book. And so it's so interesting to have all these things kind of correlate. Like right now I'm writing two things. I'm writing a research proposal and I'm writing a fictional book. And now I'm doing art. So writing actually has taken up so much of my time. But the art happens so quickly and the writing happens so slowly that it's like a slow honey molasses feed into the work that's really cool.
I love hearing just again how it's all encompassing of who you are. You know, it's just like different dials of you that you turn up and down, that you then maybe turn up at the same time and they interweave together. I'm curious, you know, again, back to your journey. You know, you mentioned New York. I know that you are an avid traveler, right? Which also pulls into the idea of living as an artist, living and seeing the world as a certain way. So talk to me a little bit about your time once you left those two schools that you went to like explore art in a new city.
Well, then it was like, what else do you do after you graduate?
Did you go right after high school?
Yeah, no, I went high school, BFA, MFA, like back.
And your BFA was in Columbia?
It was in Ohio. Columbus, Ohio. But yeah, so it's like once you did all the things and once you've like been a working artist in New York for a little bit, you're like, okay, so I guess I'm so, okay. And in New York, you have like access to these beautiful airports, right? LaGuardia and JFK that go anywhere in the fucking world for, you know, way less than anywhere else. You have access just by living in the city to the world. And so it's like, well, what else do you do but travel? And also NYU has a really great study abroad program. That's part of their like pro of the school, the benefit of going there. And so once I kind of got, I guess, bit by the bug, it was like, yeah, it seems like what I'm supposed to be doing. Just travel the world, making art, you know, like hustling, trying to make money so I could then travel to make more art, and then this cycle. But yeah, so traveling, I would like to say that traveling is more like me experiencing as a human versus me being an artist abroad. I don't think I could really, I make the least when I'm traveling.
But again, back to the idea of living in purpose, right? And removing a title of it being, I know you are a professional artist, yes.
Yeah.
So that is important.
Yeah.
But also just the way that you walk the world. You've been doing it since you were 11, right? So,
yeah.
And before.
Yeah.
So, you know, I understand you making the distinction of what you're actually creating while you're there, but I can only imagine that like the creation is still happening within you while you're living the experiences.
Probably through the writing.
I mean, so you still write while you're...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm thinking because like, I'm thinking of that notes app that we have, like if we have random thoughts, if we have like, go here, met such and such, Maya Brooks today, met blah, 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 blah today. That notes app is writing too. And then you just kind of go deeper into that or, yeah.
What are some of your what are some of your favorite places to have gone, to have been, to have lived?
Thailand.
Did you live there? How long?
I was only there for about a month.
Okay.
That was a really beautiful place as far as looking at and opening up spiritually. To see spirituality in such a different light than maybe Southern African American, Southern Black culture, and also witness those similarities. It was my first time that I witnessed a spirit house, which was like, we're used to spirits in the house here, but we're not used to building a house for spirit like Thailand. And these little houses will be outside of the house, and anytime you have a party or something, you will offer food to the spirits by giving it to this house. And it was like a way to honor those who lived in the house before you, or those who owned the house before you, or who was on the land before you. And it was like, wow, like, that was just so beautiful. We're used to like altars and etc., but you made the time to build a replica. You made the time to decorate with flowers and garlands, and yeah. And every party, you're like, I didn't forget about you. Thank you so much. And not even like you're not just ancestral either. Not like, that's my people, so I only feed my people. Yeah. It was like whoever was occupied this space before I did. Thank you. That was special. Yeah. So Thailand, and definitely Japan is in there too.
What about Japan for you?
Japan offered this also a type of slowing down, and it's because you're not slowing down because the pace is slow. You're slowing down because there's so much to see, and not in the same ways of like, it was like so much happening in a brief little moment. I would be on the sidewalk walking down the street, and I've never seen so much biodiversity in a crack in my life. I was like, how could all these textures be coexisting? So I'm walking slow because there is literally so much to see. And I do admit that I was in the countryside for about 2 months, but so I guess there was a lot of flower and green and
fauna and flora,
mountain. Yeah, to experience. But I was like, this is texture. Like, I walk through life, and I love being a collage artist because it's like life is nothing but texture laid on top of texture. And I'm like, if anybody who was a collage artist was to go to Japan, they would be so overwhelmed with just how much texture is layered on top of each other. Like, even in like a brief crack, it was like everything that could bloom bloomed, had the room and space and nutrients to bloom. And I was like, wow. Yeah.
I mean, man, you're making it so easy. The way that you keep flowing into the next thing that's rising to my mind, which is collage work and the layering, right? So, I mean, your work has a lot of beautiful elements, textures, layers, fauna, florals, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit like how you approach the process?
I think I always start with drawing. It's so interesting. Like anyone who is curious, the first thing they ask is like, what kind of artist are you? And you have to create a label for yourself. Well, I'm a mixed media collage artist. Like even like this morning, they're like, yeah, I work in, I haven't done comics in 5 years. I don't know why I said that, but, but I was like, something I feel comfortable in saying is that I'm a draftsman. Like I love to draw. Drawing is a safe ground. And anytime I start a new piece, I'm always going to go for safety first. So that's either gesso, right? You gesso, you're kind of still thinking and processing what is going to be on there. And then the drawing is like, I don't know what anything else is going to be, but I know this is going to look nice. So I'm going to just hone in on this. And everything else kind of builds around either that portrait or that body or that idea. And then all those other elements kind of speak and say, hey, I'm here. I'm like, oh, I have this lace paper. And like, oh, I have this color. Or I only have 4 colors of paint. I guess that's what, but the foundation is always drawing. I think, yeah, that's a really beautiful safety net that I have.
Do you keep, I mean, you mentioned lace, do you keep like materials just kind of around? Do you collect things that you like? You're like, this could be beautiful somewhere. And you could have it for a couple of years before you even get back to it.
I have used all kinds of things. Now I'm kind of really hooked on paper, but I've used aluminum foil. I've used the little, yesterday I had the net for my avocados in my bag. I've used that before. I've used cheesecloth. I've used pantyhose. I've used, with holes in it. I've used all kinds of things. And so I am a bird in that way of like, or a dragon, like hoarding my treasure in my little cave, but I do clean up. I'm not super tethered to things. When it's time to throw things away, it's time to throw things away. But because there's always going to be more. And I also like throwing things away too, because I'm forcing myself to approach the new versus like, that was such a beautiful, I have drawings that I've had for like 3 years. And I'm like, it's time to throw you away, because if you haven't, and some people would think that was crazy. Some artists would be like, no, that's valuable. And I'm like, it's okay, I can draw it again. It's a drawing that I did. And secondly, I need to make space for moreness. I need to make space for who I am now, not who I was. I need to make space for who's around me now. There was a point in time where I was drawing, friends and peers and family, and things transition and shift and change. And here I am holding on to this portrait of a person that I don't even talk to anymore. So where is the depth? Am I just using you now as a placeholder for something else? So it's like things have to leave. Things have to leave.
It sounds very living and breathing, right? Yeah. The way that you look at it is as if your art, which it is this infinite resource with infinite inspiration.
Generative.
Because as you're talking about it, generative, because as you're talking about it, I keep flashing back to the conversation we were just having around Japan. Like, as you describe what it was like to take a walk in Japan, felt like to me what it feels like for you potentially to create your pieces. It's like seeing the texture and the layer and just responding to what is there, which is what it sounds like slightly your approach to your work, responding to what is there here, physically. Yeah.
So there's something I used in the writing, which was relational ontology, which is just our existence is constructed from relationships. And so collage allows me to be destructive in those relationships. When I think about them or consider them or inspired by them, I can be additive. I can paint them. I can add lace to them. I can spray paint them. I can watercolor them. I can add salt to them. And I can figure out whatever needs to be figured out through this very tangible medium that allows me to destroy in really cool, obvious, raw ways. And also be super delicate and like touch softly and like whisper to you because the paper is so thin and it's like lace and, you know, and so being able to carry my senses over to a medium that allows me to be rough and soft, that accepts me in my most gentle and my most shadow, violent, that accepts me in my scared and I just want to draw, and my loud when I'm willing to just like paint whatever, you know, allows me to be exposed and allows me to cover. Yeah.
Again, as you're describing it, in some ways I'm seeing some of your pieces singularly as one might feel eruptive versus one might feel tender. But then also I'm seeing each piece house all of these emotions for you in every single piece. You can be all those things in one. Because maybe there's a tender moment here, there's a precious moment here, there's an explosive moment here. Let's get a little bit more into what you've been working on. And we can either talk about it from like the writing itself or from like the concept that you've been exploring with relational ontology. Yes.
Whichever direction, what in the writing made it feel like, oh, okay, I understand a little bit better in the work, and I can go from there.
Okay, well, one, just thank you for, I know that you're working towards potentially continuing your academic career and sharing some of the writing in your proposal for how you want to approach it, right? And really just around the idea of pulling from some ancient Eastern philosophies and how that relates to how we see ourselves in our bodies and how we view erotic or sensual content as it relates to us. I guess the first part would be kind of the East meets West, you know, like what influence have those philosophies kind of like brought into your work? Were you always connected to?
I think we're in a time and age where the world is not as big as it once was. I mean, we have access to, we can catch a flight, you know. All we need to do is save a couple of grand and we can go anywhere in the world. But I think what happened with that kind of worldly aspect start to enter the work was Japan, in the sense of Shunga particularly offered a vehicle of curiosity. It allowed me to be curious about certain things. It allowed me, so East was maybe present spiritually, but East artistically, Shunga started to like whisper. And I was like, oh, this is really cool.
How long ago was this? Like,
Shunga has only been involved in this kind of practice for maybe like 2 years. Not that long at all. Not that long at all. Maybe not even 2 years. But I became obsessed with this interpenetration, meaning like with Shunga, you have a voyeur, you have somebody peeking behind or peeking around a screen. Do you have the coupling, and then you have you yourself as the voyeur, and then it's like, this is basically relational ontology in a visual representation of like, these people are having a relationship, this voyeur is having a relationship, and I'm having a relationship with all of this, and all of us is being penetrated by something, or we're peering, or we're curious, or we're frustrated, or we're turned on, or we're whatever. And I think that that became so human to me. And I was like, oh, I'm excited to express a human experience that feels so viscerally human. Yeah, I don't know. I can keep going on that, but go ahead. You do your thing.
Well, no, I think what I also found interesting, okay, so when we talk about it from east to west, right? Like in your, I guess, exploration of these older philosophies, of these philosophies that have a little bit more openness and flexibility when it comes to the form and how we see and talk about ourselves versus growing up here in South as in potentially what could be a more traditional and conservative culture.
Yeah.
Like, have you found, you know, like how do you explore that openness versus what some might consider rigidity? And how do you have conversation in your work encouraging more of that openness here?
Daring to be exposed. Yeah. Daring to be vulnerable. I think the church really took, like going all the way back to like Catholicism, like going back to Europe.
Did you grow up Catholic?
No, I grew up non-denominational. But I'm just saying that Western philosophy, the church really created this. We were okay with nudity, but we weren't okay with like sex, right? We were okay with looking at a David. Now we're getting a little bit before the church, but that's still acceptable. That's still beautiful. But show a coupling, and that is, whoa, that's a lot. You know, we won't even allow Mary to be naked, you know. We won't even allow, so I think that the East kind of allowed this space of naturalism, like allowed a space of the flesh is beautiful. The flesh can be covered and be beautiful, but the flesh exposed is also quite beautiful. And it's quite normal and natural. And also, to get this flesh, somebody had to be doing something with someone.
Yes.
And also, unless everyone is a virgin, even IVF is a type of penetration that happens. So penetration is always happening, or we wouldn't be alive here today. We wouldn't have a future as a species. Anything, anyone, trees, flowers, everyone is kind of in this sex orientation. So why is it so And what Japan offered, or what Shunga art offered at least, was this acceptance to be fascinated, and this accepts, or a tantra, also this acceptance to use the body as a vehicle for some type of awareness.
So earlier you spoke about self-portraiture being a way of showcasing yourself in your works, which are beautiful, all period.
Yeah.
But at first glance, you might not even recognize what you're seeing until you dig in deeper.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're like, oh, hold up, is that what I think it is? You know? So there's some surprises in the work, right? And then to get deeper into it, there are themes of eroticism in the current bodies of work, right? So following let me shorten that. Starting with self, to showcase thematic work that could feel jarring for some people here in the West, as an open door for, like, let's have conversation. Why do you feel it to be this? And why can't it feel like this? So when people are looking at it, when you're welcoming them into it, what kind of conversations are you hoping to have with them?
Like, let's talk about, I'm gonna call it the monster, just because that's what I've been calling it for the past few days. I've been listening to Bio, and he loves that word. But so the monster isn't the fact that it's erotica, right? The monster isn't the fact that you're witnessing, or you in the audience are like glancing upon some type of intimate intercourse. The monster is your feelings about it. So let's talk about that. Like, why does just something that's the most natural thing in all of existence, because even planets are having some form of relationship, and the earth was penetrated the earth wouldn't be earth if it wasn't penetrated by something, whether that be rays from the sun, or whether that be like there was two planets that kind of collided and all of that. Earth was formed. So there was a type of birthing that happened from that penetration. So this is the most natural thing in the cosmos. And for some reason, to glance upon it causes some type of reaction. I want to know what that is, and I'm curious to know. And the feedback I've been getting is nice. Is people who want to talk about intimate moments. I think even when we first met, it was like, we went straight into like, and I was like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Because I don't know if, first of all, people are that curious or have the space to be that curious about something that is, I guess, so mundane. And how can something so mundane be also something so spectacular and electric and transformative, and all this information is in it? And
I feel like when I was reading your proposal, you pull from a lot of different readings. You consume a lot of different ideas and concepts. You interrogate them in the work. Who are some of the philosophers or writers that kind of like?
You already know the name that popped up 1,000 times, because I just think he is so genius. It's nice. When I
Tell me the name.
Discovered Jean-Luc Nancy, who's a French philosopher, R.I.P., I had to call my best friend immediately. I was like, yo, it feels so good to feel so seen. Like, it made me appreciate every philosopher that has ever existed. Because it was like, wow, you really laid so much groundwork for me to just be able to like sit and think. Like anybody who's laid groundwork anywhere, like thank you so much. Like so much gratitude for your curiosity can feed my curiosity. I discovered Juance. It might be Juance, it might be Juance, but it's a book, and so that word is centered around like pleasure, sexual pleasure. So basically it translates to a type of coming. And then you go into like what it is to come, where are we going, and it's like, oh wow, how potent this electric connection is of like, I compared it to death. I compared it to like a type of death, or reaching for a type of death. He also compares it to that, and so that's the number one. That Jean-Luc Nancy is phenomenal, and I recommend for anyone to read, just out of curiosity.
I'll add it to my list.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, you already had me down the rabbit hole, of different artists or different writers. Okay, so while you're here, what are you in the process of right now?
I am making, so there was a moment where the work was extremely sensual, and then I made a piece of art that felt overly sensual, and it felt sensual because I was in this rabbit hole of this thing, and I didn't feel it. I actually started to kind of hate that piece, and I was like, whoa, this is no different than what I've already been making in creation, but I guess the concept of it became manufactured. And so then I went out of it, and I was like, let's just talk about soul things. So now that kind of, my erotic self is kind of emerging back, but it's emerging back a lot more informed, and it's emerging back a lot more free and ready, versus like, other than like you discover something and you're like, okay, I want to keep doing this thing because I discovered it. Now it's a deeper understanding. And I think sometimes going back, sometimes you have to throw things away. And then you can also go back and be like, okay, well, I did like that one piece, or that one item of clothing, or that one sweatshirt. Like, okay, I didn't have to throw that away, but maybe everything else needed to be thrown away. And so around eroticism and around kind of this sensual art, I had to throw away some things that I had attached. And now I feel like I've really gotten into a beautiful space that feels connective and feels not pure in like a purest way, but feels like raw nerve, feels orgasmic. It feels like electricity. Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm not that what you were doing with the piece that you didn't love was performative, but in a way, it reminds me of, again, in your writing, you talk about, or maybe it's more Audre Lorde, but the power that actually exists when you give yourself over to the freedom of how you truly feel about something, and being in true connection to yourself about how you feel about something, and that intimacy is into me, right? You see, right? Like it's a moment of really opening yourself up to be seen and to either by yourself, like in Shunga, or the voyeur of self, or whoever else. Right?
Exactly.
Look at me, I'm catching on.
Yes, thank you. Now I have a friend. Hey, girl, did you read this article? Because can I send it over to you? I want to talk about it. But and also it's so much information there, as I mentioned before, just in your own awareness. And there's so much information when another person or people are there. But even when it's just you. It's like, how are we not all like foaming at the mouth with curiosity
about yourself,
about ourselves?
Right. So with what you're working on now, I mean, I see like the sprinklings across your studio.
I'm a floor artist, so everything's on the floor.
Oh, is it? Do you build from the floor?
And also
is it because the size of your pieces?
The size of the piece, and also collage. I think it's the gluing thing too. Like I have to glue, and then I have to put weights down on top to make sure that it's flat and adhered, maybe once, twice, 3 times, you know? So you can't really glue when things up on the wall. You're risking gravity kind of ticking. So you're spread out. You got things on the floor. You've been in the studio for a little while getting your bearings, but you were on site before you moved in here, officially here. I was doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, talk to me about it. What were you working on? Molds.
Mold making. That I still haven't, like, it's crazy because mold making is not hard. It's just
tedious.
It's tedious, and it's technically you have to be perfect. And collage, you don't have to be perfect. And so it's learning to take my time and do things right. And even when you think you've done things right, like in collage, there's this instant gratification too.
You can see it.
Yeah, you see it.
You see it building.
Exactly.
You can kind of tweak it a little bit.
With mold making, you're like, okay, I did everything perfect. And then you get it, and it's like, it won't come undone. Like, I don't know. I did the oil, and I did the thingy, and it's like, oh, because a little bit of clay or a little bit of plaster, you created this lip, and now it's stuck. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. And so I still have that project coming along. But yeah, I spent like 5 weeks doing that.
And that was your first time.
Yeah, that was like.
What made you want to try that space out? Are you using clay or ceramics like within the mold? Like what's being embedded into the mold?
So paper.
Oh, okay.
Still paper. It was like, I should say paper artists or something like that. But paper or anything I can fit in there. I was thinking wax or creating a type of dinner set that allows people to be in conversation, thinking about like consumption, thinking about what does it mean to consume another in a sense of like sharing, being penetrated by another, by sharing, thoughts, kind of also playing with the idea of that like food is always attached to some type of sexual act. Conversation always being kind of hopefully attached to some type of sexual act and relationship. And so, and this kind of meeting table with these plates and things kind of being a source or a place of.
When you dream this up, is this something that you see being an actual, not performance piece, but like an actual, or installation, but an actual moment where you would bring people to the table?
That's the dream, right? That's the whole.
This is where dreams get
That's
made,
the dream.
girl.
It's over there. It's sitting over there. We're gonna do it soon.
Yeah, I love
but
that.
yeah, and also like even some of the pieces on the floor, I was like, when I'm not there, like maybe the set is in front of a piece, and you just have a conversation with that piece, and or these. Right now, I have this montage of these 10 by 10 collages that are kind of forming into this shape. And I was thinking of putting the dinner set in front of it. And so you kind of have all these little moments you can interact with. And there are pictures of me. So you can still talk to, I guess, a placeholder of me or an image of me. Or you can talk to a root, or you can talk to a lotus, or you can talk to a penetration scene that's happening, or you can talk to a vagina that's floating above, or we can talk to whatever part that feels, or you can talk to the whole collective. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited to kind of see how that part unfolds.
Yeah, me
I
too.
think it's fun to have the space of play and experimentation.
Yeah.
I know that the print studio is also a place of interest for you.
We have diverted a little bit.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
But it's here.
Yeah, but it's here and it's available. And I love that.
Yeah.
I still have all my supplies.
So then what are you going to be working on in like the coming days?
So I have 2 pieces on the floor right now. And as I'm kind of like I don't want to overwhelm myself with like buying 5 panels, like large panels. You see how big these pieces are. And then being like, okay, and I got to finish these 5s in 5 weeks. No. So I think I'm just going to buy panels by when it's time for me to do so.
Are these canvas panels or wood?
These are wood.
Have you considered making some?
I don't have the patience.
Oh, that's
I have patience for other things, but I do not have patience for the wood shop.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do.
You say that, and then watch in 2 weeks, we're gonna see you down there.
Yeah, I like to be barefoot. I like to wear sandals. I like to. It'd be cold in there.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I even did mold making up here because it was so cold in there. But yeah, maybe I hire somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the beauty of maybe it's a collaborative thing. You know, we've got Renee down there. Should you need a little assistance?
It's been great, McCall. Renee, I've worked to the bone. Renee, I am giving you a break, Renee. But McCall Center has been so beautiful in just providing space, being accepting, being loving, being tender with me in my tender and vulnerable states. Being curious with me, that is such a big deal. Thank you for being curious with me. Thank you for taking the time to read whatever I send, Thank you for engaging in conversation with me and being unafraid. Thank you for conquering your own fear, if there were any, Thank you for, allowing me to be and exist in my, whatever this may be, and transition with me. You're shifting with me. Already you've, been reading some things, and it's like, I know that's added to you. So already you're different than who you were maybe a week ago because there's more information. So thank you for growing with me. So McCall, it's been cool.
I mean, honestly, I think that is the most beautiful part about being here for the artists and the artists that are coming in and out, the artists that are here all the time on staff. For myself, right? It's like we get to be in community, truly, right? And back to relational ontology.
You did good.
It's the thought of
thesis paper coming soon. I'm kidding.
Yes,
I'm kidding.
It's the thought of like we are walking in this journey with each other and together with the hope that we can leave imprints, on the next person or be imprinted upon. And then that thing becomes what cultivates the next idea and the concept that we continue to share. It's like this beautiful ecosystem that I am definitely very thankful for in our short time knowing each other. I already feel like the imprints. So thank you for sharing your time generously and your knowledge and your wisdom. I can't wait to kind of continue the conversation.